What's up with it, y'all? What's up with it? We back up in this thing. Uh, bring y'all some more of this here good information. I'm rolling up right now too. But this Trump saga thing, yeah, it get deeper. We're gonna continue with it. Depending on how deep it get, that's gonna depend. So shit, let's get into it with the second video. And this one is about the Illuminati card game. It's from the most amazing top 10. Shout out to them. Educational purpose, free use, fair use. You want to check it out.
Inspired by his original box game Illuminati, which was based off of
The Illuminati card game was released in 1994, but some of the images on the cards have pretty eerie similarities to current events, and the internet is buzzing about it. Let's find out why.
Back in 1994, Steve Jackson released a card game called Illuminati New World Order, inspired by his original box game Illuminati, which was based off of the 1975 book The Illuminati's Trilogy, written by Robert Alton and Rob Shea. Of course, the world. Introduction to the rulebook of the game, Robert Shea, author of the book that inspired the whole thing, wrote, "Maybe the Illuminati are behind this game. They must be. They are, by definition, behind everything." According to the rulebook, the game can be played by 2 to 8 players. Depending on the number of players, it could take anywhere between 1 to 6 hours to complete. Or, according to conspiracy theorists,
Okay, now peep game. When I was a kid, this game was out in the 1990s, but it was some rare shit. You couldn't just get a hold to it, but we ended up finding out later on he had been raiding and a lot of other things. But I'm gonna let you get into it. Steve Jackson game.
could take the rest of your life. Why? Well, because it appears as though each card played in the game was actually a premonition of something terrible to come in the years that followed the release of the game. And by the years that followed, I mean from the day the game was released until now and presumably beyond. The cards, thought up in the early 90s, seem to depict then outlandish fantasies, but today very real, tragic, and terrifying events that have taken place or are currently taking place or will take place around the world. Perhaps Robert Shea was right. Also, if you're watching this, you just lost the game.
Aside from all the ominous card games in this game, which we're gonna get to, there's another reason why people are talking about it online right now. They were raided by the Secret Service. And for a game centered on controversial conspiracies, it definitely gets people thinking. So back on March 1st of 1990, the Secret Service rolled into the offices of Steve Jackson Games in Austin, Texas. They swooped in and took a bunch of hard drives and documents, some of which were about the board game they were making. Now, your first thought might be that the government was trying to cover up some deep Illuminati secrets that the game was about to expose, but that wasn't actually the case. The real story is that one of the guys working at Steve Jackson Games, Lloyd Blankenship, was also a hacker, and he ran a message board.
Damn, what kind of shit is that? Now, this was some information I wasn't even aware of. So, kind of find out that which is other things about the game's designers, and it get deep, man. But who knew this part? Like I didn't know that myself. So it's crazy.
That had posted some stolen files about how the 911 emergency system worked in the US. The Secret Service got a tip about this, got themselves a search warrant, and raided the place to get their hands on those files. So, still pretty.
Now that hacking shit back in the 90s, that shit was real. I'm looking for my lighter. That's why it sounds like I'm moving around. Looking for my lighter. But yeah, that shit was real. You know, that's where we get to the movie The Matrix, 1999. If it would have released now, it wouldn't make no fucking sense. People are like, what the hell? Yeah, because it was controversial then.
Interesting.
Perhaps one of the scariest cards included in the game back then would be the one where, across the top, written in big bold letters, it reads, "Every year is worse." I say this is the scariest because seeing as we are currently looking down the barrel of a possible third world war, irreversible and detrimental climate change, and a global economic crisis, how the hell could things possibly get any worse? Let's see what the card has to say. The earth is degenerating today. Bribery and corruption abound. Children no longer obey their parents, and every man wants to write a book, and it is evident that the end of the world is fast approaching. That's unpleasant. But that's not all. The card is used attempts to paralyze opponents in the game, and playing it requires Illuminati or liberal actions of power. I have to say, I'm not liking where this is going.
The internet's been buzzing about this card called Enough is Enough. The image here is more abstract than a lot of the cards in the game, less in your face than some of the more bluntly violent or disturbing imagery that's used, but there is something oddly familiar about this picture, isn't there? Looks kind of like someone we all recognize. See it now? Yeah, it's pretty uncanny, actually. Sort of looks like the artist had illustrated the image directly from this photo of Trump, like he was posing for it. But again, this game came out in 1994, 2 decades before this photo was taken at the very least. It could be a total coincidence. The artist just, might have imagined a screaming dude who looked a lot like the former president. But look at the bottom of the card, part of which reads, "At any time, at any place, our weapons can drop you." The card is more descriptive with what those weapons are, but
That shit crazy. Just considering. And the time period they made to now.
due to YouTube guidelines, I gotta make it more general. Point is, once again, this one feels eerily similar to recent events.
You know what words I never want to see together ever, especially in the context of a card game that predicts the future and supposedly aligns with the values of the very few global elites that don't really give a rat's flying feather about the masses. New world order and global warming. Yep, it's pretty unpleasant, especially when you take into account that in the context of the game, card is essentially played by the Illuminati in an effort to change the way the entire world is structured, both geographically and politically and also socially. The card reads, how about some nice beachfront property in Kansas? Kansas, for those of you who don't know, Kansas is landlocked and about 1,066 miles away from its nearest coastline. The card also says, the seas rise. All currently coastal places lose 2 power and all non-coastal places become coastal. And to top it all off, there is a picture of the Statue of Liberty and the Empire State Building almost completely submerged underwater. If New York is on your bucket list, you might want to start planning your trip now. If you live there, I'm sorry.
So check out this card. Wonder why people have been talking about this one lately. Not only do you have a card titled Epidemic, but you have a very disconcerting image of all the hits from 2020 to 22. You have a face mask, a needle with some type of vaccine or medicine, a clear bottle of disinfectant, rubber gloves, even the word quarantine in big bold letters is plastered across the card. And to top it all off, it's hard to tell what those green shapes are in the background at first, but look a little closer and it's clear they're corpses in body bags. This is an attack card which can be used to destroy any place, as written at the bottom. It's not surprising that people look at this and have some pretty vivid flashbacks to the events that unfolded in 2020, and sure, the imagery here can be applied to pretty much any global disease outbreak, but it's the combination of everything here, especially with that word quarantine, that just makes it feel a little too close to home.
This next card is not great, and by that I mean it's really bad. It is the Terror Nuke card, and I think we can all agree what major event it appears to be depicting. The card reads, play this card at any time to give +10 power or +10 resistance to any violent group you control. If you believe the conspiracies regarding the devastating event that took place on September 11th of 2001, those words should literally terrify you, because it insinuates that the Illuminati were in control of whatever group did the terrible thing they did, which I cannot explicitly say because I don't want to get kicked off this platform. Now, I also want you to keep in mind the fact that these cards were illustrated and printed in 1994, 7 years before that event took place. The artwork is uncanny. Still think the Illuminati isn't behind this card game? Maybe think again.
This is the moon-based card. People have been sharing this one around for a couple different reasons. For one, the card depicts what is clearly a man-made structure built on the moon. To some, this is just science fiction. To others, this card is just an illustration of something that actually exists. A secret base built on the moon, which might look like this. This image here was taken on one of the Apollo missions. up the hassle card, doesn't it? So it's pretty clear that the artist took inspiration from this real-life image on the card. But another reason people are talking about this one right now is because there are currently plans to set up a structure on the moon. The Artemis program is in full swing, planning a series of manned missions to the moon starting in 2026, which will be the first since Apollo 17 in 1972.
And then there is the Orbital Mind Lasers card. Yep, that's a real thing, kind of, in China. According to a report published by the Washington Times in July of 2023, China is currently in the midst of developing high-technology weapons designed to disrupt brain functions and influence government leaders or even entire populations. Yeah, we're doomed. And the Illuminati card game called it. The Orbital Mind Control Lasers card reads, by using lasers action, you may add, remove, or reverse an alignment of any group in play. And the change will last for the rest of the player's turn, which to me basically translates to, when the Illuminati decides it's China's time to shine, they will, until it's decided otherwise. Better start brushing up on your Mandarin now, because soon you might not have a choice.
Here's another card that feels like it's more of the zeitgeist of today than it was back in 1994. Here we see a dude clearly freaking out while wearing a pair of VR goggles. The card description features probably my favorite sentence in all the cards I've seen, reading, all over the world, computers get weird. Combo of the VR goggles and the computers bugging out thing definitely taps into our collective fears of computers and AI taking over. Like, sure, people worried about this sort of thing back then too, but never has this been more relevant than today. VR, artificial intelligence, those were in the realm of science fiction for most people back then. Today, it's a reality. Let's just hope computers don't get weird in the near future. At least not any weirder than they already are. What a fun looking game. I want to get some of these cards. Some of the images are great.
They sell them on eBay for quite a
oh my God,
pretty,
go for a lot. Yeah.
Especially the more dark and twisted ones. You guys, we hope you enjoyed this. Please stay safe and don't let the Illuminati get you.
Catch you next time.
Cheers.
And that shit was crazy.
Hey, are you living with tired floors? Well, wake them up fast and save a ton of money with 50 Floor. Did you know 50 Floor...
Over the years, The Simpsons has built a reputation.
So basically, this whole saga, this series has been dealing with the connection between those things, the cards, conspiracies, Simpsons, Trump, Kamala, all these different people biting. So we're going to check out this part of the segment, which is The Simpsons.
For somehow predicting the future years before it happens. The show's...
And this is the Truth Is channel. Shout out to them. Fair use. Last one was the Most Amazing Top 10. Shout out to them. Fair use. Educational purposes. Check it out.
somehow manages to create episodes with storylines that somehow end up happening in real life. With the many things The Simpsons have predicted over the years and are still predicting, people have become suspicious of the writers who are creating these episodes. Are they fortune tellers having visions of the future, or are they just getting lucky? Either way, this has left people searching for the next situation The Simpsons predict. The latest predictions fans are claiming The Simpsons made was the attempt on former President Donald Trump's life. But is this true? Did The Simpsons really predict the attempt on Trump? Hey guys, I hope all is well. Welcome back to The Truth Is, where I drop new videos every other day exposing the truth. In today's episode, we will be checking out the claims that The Simpsons predicted the attempt on Donald Trump. This is sort of a prequel to the video I am posting on Patreon. As I said in my last video about Eminem, I am planning on dropping a Patreon video about the Trump situation. No worries though, the video will be available to everyone for free. Once I post the video, which will most likely be tomorrow, all you have to do is become a free Patreon member and you'll be able to see the Trump video for free. The only reason I am not posting it on YouTube is to protect my channel. I don't want to have to censor myself for this topic or get in trouble for speaking my mind. So that's why I decided to put it on Patreon. To become a Patreon member, you would find the link in the description and pinned in the comment section. Thank you all. Now let's get right into it. The Simpsons have made many episodes that seem to predict the future over the years. They predicted the Apple Vision years before it was released. They have predicted Super Bowl results that no one could have guessed. They even predicted the infamous Roy Horn White Tiger attack. This has made people assume the Simpsons are either time travelers or fortune tellers, as how else could they be making these predictions? Some of these predictions can be seen as random coincidences, but other predictions seem really complex and very specific, making it hard to just be a random stroke of luck. It's pretty obvious that the Simpsons writers might know something we don't, but we will talk more about that later. One episode The Simpsons is famous for was the episode where they predicted Donald Trump was going to become the president of the United States. The episode was called Bart to the Future, and it was released back in the year 2000. It was about the character Lisa becoming president after Donald Trump.
Inherited quite a budget crunch from President Trump. How bad is it, Secretary Van Houten?
We're broke.
As you know, we've inherited quite a budget crunch from...
This episode predicted Trump's presidential win 16 years before it actually happened. Now, this isn't the only time The Simpsons predicted Trump being president, as The Simpsons predicted 2024 was going to be the return of Trump. The short episode that was uploaded to YouTube in 2015 called Trumptastic Journey depicts Homer seen flying over a presidential campaign sign with the words Trump 2024. I found this extremely interesting, as this episode came out before Trump was even president. Trump was elected president in 2016. This episode not only predicted Trump being president, something The Simpsons have done in the past, but it also predicted that he would be running for president again in 2024, something that is almost impossible to have guessed. How would they have known that Trump wasn't going to be re-elected after his first run and do 2 consecutive terms? Meaning, it would have been impossible for Trump to have run in 2024. The only way they would have known this is if they knew Trump wouldn't do 2 consecutive terms and was going to run again after missing a term. They had to know all of this before Trump was even elected, which again tells you that this was no guess, but The Simpsons somehow knowing this in advance. The Simpsons were also able to predict this famous escalator moment when Donald Trump was coming down the escalator waving at his supporters. The Simpsons predicted this exactly to the T.
Crazy, because it's almost identical, and the one about the maps too when he won.
Simpsons have made many predictions about Donald Trump, but did they predict what recently happened to him? Recently, we all heard the news on the attempt on Donald Trump during a support rally in PA. While Donald Trump was giving his speech, out of nowhere, shots were heard, and Trump grabbed his ear, then bent down. Secret Service then surrounded the former president as other agents searched for and eliminated the threat. Trump was then escorted off the stage, not before he threw his fists in the air to alert his fans that he was still okay. Many people were shocked as Trump came so close to losing it all in front of the world. While I'm not going to give my thoughts about the situation in this episode, I will say this entire situation seems off to me. I'll explain exactly what I mean in the video I'm planning on uploading on Patreon either later today or tomorrow. Now, with The Simpsons predicting so many events, it wasn't long until people started to wonder if they had somehow predicted the attempt on Donald Trump too. This is when this photo started to circulate online of what appears to be a still shot from a Simpsons episode. The still shot is a photo of a cartoon version of Donald Trump lying in a casket as if he's gone. The photo has already gone viral, spreading all over Twitter, leading people to believe The Simpsons once again predicted the future. This time, they seem to predict the attempt on Trump. When I saw this photo, I wanted to see what episode it was from and see the full episode for context. Did The Simpsons once again predict the future and knew Trump would have an attempt on him? There had to be more to this still shot, and I wanted to see the rest of the episode. But as I looked for the episode, I couldn't find any episode with a plot line that told the story of Donald Trump being taken out. I searched all over the internet, and it seems that this photo isn't from any Simpsons episode. So where is the photo from? Well, from what I can see, the photo appears to be a fake photo created by someone trying to push the story for whatever reason. Some websites dedicated to fact-checking, which I don't ever trust, claim that the photo isn't real, stating that the Simpsons team confirmed that it isn't authentic. Now, while I normally don't agree with anything these websites say, since I couldn't find the episode this still shot was from, I have no choice but to agree with it. So this photo circulating online claiming to be from an episode that predicts the attempt on Trump is definitely fake. Somebody most likely made this post in order to capitalize off the current situation to go.
That's crazy. I gotta look into that. We're not gonna watch this whole video. We're gonna look at a couple things, but that's really crazy. But yeah, man, so y'all let me know what y'all think. And I hit y'all with some more stuff. Y'all comment, let me know your ideas. Chop it up with y'all.